Hello and thanks for joining me. This is a long overdue update, and I just wanted to firstly welcome, there's been a number of new subscribers over the last couple of months, over 1,000 I think, so welcome to any of you that are tuning into this one, and also thanks to everyone who's continually supported me from the beginning. We're fast approaching the 10,000 subscriber mark, which was a personal goal of mine when I started the channel, so thanks to everyone who's helped me get that far. So first off, there's a lot to go through regarding the channel. We'll start off, we'll get the awkward one out of the way. For me, I don't like talking about it, but you will have seen, presumably over YouTube, there's a lot of people now talking about Patreon. It's a thing that's been around for a long time. It's a way of supporting channels and helping creators, financially that is, and you get benefits back from it. Now this channel's had a Patreon account for over a year, maybe even longer. I just haven't really pushed it too much because I didn't really want to go too overboard with it, and subsequently there wasn't a lot of benefits either, so I've thought about updating that. So we've had a number of people pledging over the last few months on PayPal, so that's brilliant. Thanks to everyone that's done that. I will be putting together a list of names, and that'll be then shouted out in each video as we go forward, update videos. And picked up a couple of Patreon subscribers as well. So obviously the PayPal me link, if you just want to pledge financially, you feel like dropping, you know, a pound, £10, £5, whatever it is, you can just go direct through that and do it via PayPal, and any money received there is I'm very thankful for. Or alternatively, you can sign up to Patreon, which is like a subscription base, and you kind of join at a tier. So there's 3 tiers, starting at, it should convert to your local currency, so it would be like $1, a euro, or a pound, or whatever that would convert into. So just looking at tier 1 for £1, you're basically just supporting the channel, and the perk you get is Patreon only content. So any content I put up just for Patreon subscribers, you will get access to that, but you won't get early access. That goes on into the next tiers. You also get a shout out on, you get in that list of names as we go forward. Then we've got the middle tier, the second tier, which is the £5 tier, and that's early access videos for 24 hours. So you'll get to see that video at least 24 hours earlier than what it gets released to publicly on YouTube. Many times it's between 36 and 48 hours earlier, because I am getting them up a little bit earlier, so I've got a little bit of leeway as to when I release it publicly. And those videos are ad free, so the ads are turned off on those, and there's no problem there. So if that's something you're worried about regarding the YouTube ads, we'll get onto that in a minute, well then there won't be any ads on there for at least that 24-hour period. And you get all of the previous stuff, so you get the Patreon only content as well. And then we've got a third tier, I didn't want to go higher than that, and that's £10 a month. And for that you'll get early access at 72 hours minimum, so that's 3 days ad free. And you get all of the previous perks, plus I'll actually put up a list of kits that I will review, and you'll be able to pick, well, we'll get a poll depending on how many people there are. There's none in that tier at the minute, there might not be any again in a year's time, but whatever it is, whether there's 1 person or 10 people, we'll put up a poll with a list of kits, say 3 kits that I'll pick, and then I'll do a review. So that'll be some Patreon only content. You will have had your say in what kits would have been reviewed, and then that video will go up for all patrons. So that will be Patreon only content, and then that may, a month down the line or something, I may then release it publicly, but for at least a month, if not longer, that will be Patreon only content, ad free obviously, and all the rest. So you'll get a chance to vote, you know, and that would be where, see, this would be where a lot of people on the channel like the channel for whatever reason from the beginning, where I used to do a lot of interesting kit reviews, lots of obscure kits and that sort of thing. I've gone away from that just because it's a lot of effort and there's not a huge amount comes back, so the incentive's not there. If I'm into it, well then I'll do it anyway because it's part of the hobby. Making the videos is part of the hobby, but generally I'm trying to concentrate more on build videos. So I thought this was a way, if you really do like the channel, I mean, I pay for subscription services on certain things that I like. I'm not expecting anyone to do it, but if you do like that content and you want to do that, then that's a way of getting it, and then that gives me the incentive to film the video for you specifically. There you go. So you know, you're getting something back direct. So I think that's some interesting rewards there on the tiers, and it does then tackle the early access and the ad-free side of things that we'll get onto next. So if anyone's interested in that, there's always a link in every video to my Patreon, and it's a simple thing. You just create an account, sign up, and you're away to go. Now, on an aside to that, I'm also going to be sending people to the Patreon page as a sort of as a content page. So as we're now well into the beginner's guide to armour modelling that I'm doing, which is going to be a weekly video. I don't see an end to it, to be honest. I've got so many plans. I can see this going on well into next year and beyond. So we'll keep going. I'm about 10 weeks ahead of you from what you're seeing at the minute, and I'm intending to ramp that up a little bit so that when I start to get busy, or if I don't feel like it, I don't have to feel guilty about having a day off and not worrying about it, not filming videos. I'm already ahead, and that means that guarantees you guys some content. But as part of that, I've been down to Bovington since it's been reopened, and I'm going back down again, taking close-up pictures of usually the tank that's actually being featured. But at the minute we've got like the Sturmgeschütz 4 up at the minute. Obviously we don't have one of those down there, but they've got Stug 3. So I've taken some close-up pictures of that to get you, so you can see some of the close-ups of the rolled steel texture, tool clamps, Zimmerit and all that sort of thing. I'm doing that with all the tanks that are in the builds coming up. I'm also compiling a kind of documentary based video like I've done with the Panzer IIF. And then all of those photos that I've taken are going up on the Patreon page as a post, free to anyone. So you don't have to be a Patreon subscriber for that, you don't have to join. You can just go on there, you can use those pictures as you see fit. They're there, they're linked in the bottom of those videos, and they'll also be linked into the videos that are related to it. So the Panzer IIF, for instance, both build videos will have a link to that Patreon post where you can then go and see the pictures. So if you're building one of those, for instance, you want some reference pictures, well then there's some close-ups. Got some close-ups of the tracks, some sprockets, tool clamps and all that sort of thing. So that's also a reason to check in on the Patreon page anyway, because there'll be some reference posts on there. So it's a good way of getting some reference pics if you want to take those. That's by all means help yourself. So do consider that. It helps the channel no end, and obviously it boosts us a little bit in the financial end for some of the things that I'm hoping to do on the channel as we go forward. And then that then rolls into, there are other ways that you can help the channel that aren't financial, and it's simply just with a click of a button, is by making sure you're subscribed and you've got the notification bell clicked, and that means you'll get notifications whenever I put a new video up, and obviously watching the video boosts the views. That helps one side. Liking the video, as always, that really helps on the YouTube side of things. Leaving a comment as well gets people involved. Let me know your thoughts. I always read them. I don't always reply, but I do always read them. So that's very helpful, and all of those things work in the background for YouTube to pick up the video and say, maybe show it to a few more people. Obviously sharing the video, if there's anything you think's relevant, share it in Facebook groups, to your friends, whatever. That all helps. So that's doing any of that helps with the channel. Do please take an extra moment. If you're going to put a thumbs down, I can't stop you. The button's there. You're welcome to do it. But just think, I wonder if some people do it if they don't like the kit, for instance, and they go, oh, it's a thumbs down because they don't like that kit. Just take a moment to think about that, because that does damage the video a little bit. There's a kind of like to dislike ratio going on with YouTube, so it's only very small, and I'm always well up into the sort of 99 to 95% like to dislike ratio. But just take a second thought if you're going to put a thumbs down, and just think why you're doing it. Obviously if you don't like me, you don't like the video, or you think I've done something wrong, well then by all means that's the button to click. But if it's not something I've done personally, or it's not something the video's done, maybe consider just not clicking that button. Just a thought. So that's all of that. So the next thing is YouTube ads. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, YouTube has decided to ramp up the ads on videos. Not a bad thing from my point of view, because the ad revenue goes up, but I am noticing on some of my historic builds that I haven't checked in on, there's like 15 ads through the video, and the video might only be half an hour long, which is a bit ridiculous. Now I'm not going to be able to go back through all of these and change all of that, but if you do find you've had a look at some and you think it is ridiculous, then do just write a comment there saying, oh, there's quite a lot of ads in this one. Then I can go back as a highlight to take those out and maybe tone it down a bit. I am doing mid-roll ads. I mean, we've all got ads. I watch videos and we get ads on those videos that aren't modelling related, not ones that I've done. You can't do anything about it. I don't think it should be an issue. I think mid-roll ads are fine. We've got to do something. You can't have everything for free, and it helps me so much financially that it's such a benefit. It's worth doing. Now I do now every video that goes out. I do check where the ads are, and I only put 3 or 4 as a maximum in a video, sort of half an hour video, and I'm trying to put them at places where there's natural breaks. So if I go, you know, and we're putting the wheels on here, and that takes us to the next step, then there's an ad, and then as it comes back, it's so moving on, as opposed to saying, it'd be funny if one happened here, wouldn't it? As opposed to saying, so as you look at, and then there's an ad. That wouldn't be so good. So I am actively trying to make it more interesting from a viewer's point of view. So I hope you understand. And also, if you really like the ads, watch them for longer, and then it pays off a bit more. But that's pushing it a little bit. That's all the awkward stuff out of the way. So now let's get on to the interesting stuff. So obviously, through the channel at the minute, we've got a build series going on, like I've said, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. It's the basic armour modelling series. So whether you want to say that as a beginner's guide to basic armour modelling, whatever it is, that is what it is. It's about basic armour modelling techniques. But don't get sort of turned off by that. That we're starting right at the basics. So you know, the Panzer II is built with needle files, not quite tube glue, but it's using very basic techniques, and then we're fast moving on. So then we start getting sanding sticks out, as well as the files, and using fillers and all that sort of thing. Getting into cast texture, that's all to come. It's not very far away. You're getting that in the next video. We're finishing off with Stug 4 at the minute. So you go all on the way through that, and then we're going to ramp it up a little bit and show some more advanced or intermediate techniques, I suppose, and then try and move all the way through it. If you think of this as my version, I've always liked to have written a book, not about armour, not about modelling per se, but it would always be nice to write a book, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Trying to do this is a book format, if you know, so it's broken down into chapters. So this chapter we're doing this, then we learn from that, and then move on and talk about interesting things as we go through. That's the idea behind it. It's like if I was to ever have done it as a book format, this is it. So that's, if you want to think about it in one way, that's how it is. And I've got lots of exciting things coming down the line. I've even spread around as well. I could easily do World War II German tanks. Now obviously that would be ridiculous. So it would. I'm trying to break up all the Germans. We're not going to do Tiger, Tiger II, Panther, and go on like that. We've got Shermans, we've got Churchills, we've got all sorts coming down the line. Russian tanks, even Japanese tanks. I'm looking at pre-war tanks, post-war tanks, World War I tanks, cars, vehicles, all that sort of thing, anything that's in armour modelling basically. So whatever you're into, there should be something for you. Now there has been a number of comments about 1/72 scale. It's not something I've ever done, it's not something I'm going to say that I won't do, so I am looking at it, and if I can find the appropriate appropriate model, I'll pick something up in 1/72 and 1/48. I don't really want to go bigger than 1/35. There might be the odd thing in 1/16, but it's unlikely. Predominantly, I'll be keeping it based around 1/35. You'll be able to apply those techniques into whatever you want to do as well. There's also been a mention of brush painting. I can't do brush painting. We're going to have to start with an airbrush. They're so cheap these days. And even with that, you can still use spray cans. So you know, everyone does spray cans. There's numerous people that do these spray cans, and with armour, you know, you give it one good spray coat, and you can brush paint your camouflage or whatever on there. So I think it would be a back step for me to start talking about brush painting, where it's really to propel forward. We need to be spraying the paint one way or another. So that was my thoughts behind that. So unfortunately, if you are a brush painter, you just have to try and apply some of the techniques after and before the painting stage, and just carry on with your brush painting. So that's that, and I think that's going to be very interesting. And obviously I am starting with some very old classic kits at the minute. The idea behind it being, a lot of people thinking they're going to get into modelling, go to Hobbycraft and buy these cheap Tamiya kits that are from the 1970s. We're not doing classic Tamiya kits, we're just kicking off with 2, and then we're moving right on into a well, actually it's another classic Tamiya kit, not quite as classic, one from the 90s, and then we're going right into a kit that came out 4 months ago. So it's going to spread around, and it's going to be very interesting, hopefully. And also sprinkled all through there, hopefully one, or at least one or maybe 2 a month, there will be aircraft builds as well, which will just be released as and when I decide to do it through the week. Important to say that the Armour series is now committed to Thursday. I'm still playing around with when the best time to drop it is, whether Thursday in the evening, Thursday in the morning, whenever, but Thursdays are my release day, so that's when every week you'll have a video updating that basic armour modelling series. Now, I'm always open to ideas, so if there's anything you think would be useful, or maybe I've missed, or something you want to add to any of this, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be very interested to see any feedback regarding the channel. Now, I have got an idea surrounding these update videos. Now, I know people do like them, and I'm trying to do them monthly, but I'm considering moving the update videos, because it's mainly the core people behind the channel, over to just being Patreon only content. And with the idea that you can sign up there for as little as $1 or £1, thinking if you really do like the channel, it's a very small price to pay to get your video, and then if we had a number of people on there, that would give me the incentive and kind of build a community based around these videos, and they'd be a lot more personable, whereas at the minute I'm just talking to everyone and trying to recap what the channel's done. I could do a little bit more if it was based on a core amount of people who are sort of subscribing for that, as well as all the other videos. I'm sort of considering just keeping the public channel just to the build videos now. Just commit to build videos and sort of pull away from it as a face to camera side of thing. I'm not committed to that, and I don't want to put anyone off, and I'd really like to know your feedback down below on what your views would be with that. I'm just thinking from the point of view of back and forth community wise, and that might be a good way to go. I don't know though, so we'll see what the comments say in this video, I guess, and then I can move on from there. So I've rambled on far too long, so I think we need to bring this one to an end. So as always, just to recap, thanks to everyone who's tuned in and got this far. Let me know your comments below. Consider supporting the channel with a number of ways that I've said, whether it's financially or not, just clicking the buttons. It all helps, and it's very much appreciated. And also, did anyone notice anything on my weird wall behind me? There's some very strange things on the wall. I don't know how we've got away with it, but the other half is happy with it at the minute. So we're fighting a fascist snake there, and we've also got a flying tiger's blood chit. So yeah, there you go. What a few odd things to have on your wall, eh? I think we'll leave it there, guys. So thanks for staying tuned. Thanks for continuing to support the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.